He told me I wasn't good enough to stand beside him at his luxury gala. So he took his ex instead. The invitation arrived on a quiet morning, slipped under the door like it carried no weight at all. But it did. I picked it up slowly. The paper was thick and smooth, the kind that feels expensive before you even read the words. Gold letters shined softly under the light. My husband's company logo sat proudly at the top. Annual Luxury Gala. My heart beat a little faster. For years, I had watched this event from the side. Photos online, news articles, whispers from people who admired his success. Every year, I told myself the same thing, maybe next year. I walked into the bedroom where he stood in front of the mirror, adjusting his tie. The morning sun came through the window, touching his sharp suit and polished shoes. He looked important, distant. I held the invitation in both hands. "It came today," I said gently. "The gala." He didn't turn around. I waited. My fingers tightened around the paper. "Maybe this year," I added, trying to sound hopeful. "We could go together." He finally looked at me through the mirror. His eyes were calm. Too calm. "You wouldn't fit there," he said plainly. The words hit me hard. He turned fully now, fixing his cufflinks like this was just another normal conversation. "It's not personal," he continued. "It's important people only. Clients, investors, people who understand that world." I swallowed. "And I don't." I asked quietly. He sighed, already bored. "You're better off at home. It's not your scene." That was it. No fight. No apology. Just a door closing without a sound. That evening, while he was gone, I sat alone on the couch. The house felt too big. Too silent. I opened my phone without thinking. And then I saw them. The photos were everywhere. My husband stood in a black suit, smiling for the cameras. And beside him was a woman in a red dress, her hand lightly resting on his arm. His ex. The one he never talked about, but never fully erased either. She looked confident, comfortable, like she belonged exactly where she stood. His world. His lights. His success. People in the comments admired them. Power couple. Perfect match. My chest tightened. I remembered her face from years ago. The woman he loved before me. The woman he once promised everything to. 7 years. 7 years ago, I had walked away from him with nothing but a small bag and a heart full of fear. I moved to a quiet town where no one knew my name. A place with slow mornings and dusty roads. A place where life felt smaller, but safer. I disappeared without explaining. He never knew why. Now, seeing them together again, it felt like the past had reached out and grabbed me by the throat. A few days later, fate did what it always does. I was standing outside the old cafe in town, waiting for my coffee. The air smelled of roasted beans and rain. The street was calm, the kind of calm that lets you hear your own thoughts. Then I saw him. He stepped out of a black car, phone in hand, his face tense. A business trip, no doubt. He looked older, sharper, more tired. When his eyes met mine, he froze. The world seemed to stop. The wind moved my hair gently. Cars passed slowly behind him. For a moment, neither of us spoke. "You're here?" he asked finally, his voice low, unsure. "So are you," I replied. He looked at me like he was seeing a ghost. Or maybe a memory he thought he buried. We stood there, facing each other after 7 long years. So much history between us. So many questions. So many things left unsaid. And deep inside my chest, a truth rested quietly, waiting for the right moment to rise. We sat across from each other inside the cafe, a small round table between us. The place smelled of warm coffee and old wood. Soft music played in the background, but it felt far away, like it belonged to another world. For a moment, neither of us spoke. He wrapped his hands around his cup, staring at the dark surface like it might give him answers. I watched his face, the same sharp lines, the same serious eyes. Only now, there were small signs of age. Tiny cracks time had left behind. "I saw you watching the gala photos," he said suddenly, breaking the silence. I lifted my eyes to meet his. "I didn't have to watch," I replied quietly. "Everyone saw them." His jaw tightened. He looked away toward the window, where sunlight touched the glass. "It was just for show," he said after a pause. She fits my world. She knows how things work. My heart sank, even though I had expected those words. And I don't. I asked. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. No answer came. That silence hurt more than any argument ever could. I remembered 7 years ago, the way his voice sounded that night. Cold. Certain. I remembered standing in our old apartment, my hand shaking, trying to tell him something important. Trying to find the courage. But he had spoken first. I need someone who won't slow me down. The memory burned. Back in the cafe, he leaned forward slightly. Why did you leave like that? He asked. No explanation. No goodbye. I came home, and you were just gone. I lowered my gaze to my cup. The coffee had gone cold. I had my reasons. He let out a dry laugh. You always say that. Even now. You hide behind silence. I gave a small smile, one that held more pain than peace. If only he knew how heavy that silence had been. Before he could speak again, a soft sound drifted in from outside. Laughter. A child's laughter. It was light and careless, the kind that comes from a place without fear. His head turned toward the sound before he could stop himself. Through the cafe window, a little boy ran past, chasing a paper airplane. His hair was dark. His eyes were bright. His smile was wide. My husband stared. Something in his expression shifted. Confusion. Curiosity. A quiet shock. He looks, he said slowly, then stopped. Like you. I finished for him, my voice steady. He turned back to me sharply. Who is he? My heart started to race, but my face stayed calm. I stood up and reached for my coat. I should go. He reacted fast, standing up too. He reached out and caught my wrist, not rough, but desperate. Don't, he said. Not again. Please. Just tell me what's going on. I gently pulled my hand free. The touch sent a familiar ache through me, but I didn't let it show. Some truths, I said softly, arrive on their own time. His eyes searched my face, trying to read what I was hiding. He looked frustrated. Lost. You're different, he said. You used to explain everything. I learned not to, I replied. We stood there in silence again. The cafe felt smaller now, like the walls were listening. Outside, the laughter faded as the boy ran out of sight. That night, I lay awake in my bed, staring at the ceiling. My thoughts were loud. I wondered if he was doing the same. If that child's face had followed him into the dark. I knew it had. Because once you see the truth standing right in front of you, even as a shadow, it never truly lets you go. The knock on my door came early the next morning. It was sharp and rushed, the kind of knock that carries fear with it. I knew it was him even before I opened the door. My heart was already pounding, but my face stayed calm. He stood there, pale and restless. His eyes were red, like he hadn't slept at all. I did the math, he said the moment I opened the door. His voice was unsteady. 7 years. That boy, his age. His face. I stepped aside without a word and let him in. The house was quiet except for the soft sound of crayons scratching on paper. My son sat on the living room floor, legs crossed, deeply focused on his drawing. Sunlight from the window fell across his small hands. My husband froze. He stared at the boy like he was seeing a miracle and a mistake at the same time. The boy looked up. His eyes met his father's. Mama, he said innocently, pointing his crayon toward the stranger. Who's that? My husband's breath caught. His shoulders stiffened. Mama, he whispered. The word broke something inside him. I walked over and knelt beside my son, smoothing his hair. Go to your room, sweetheart, I said gently. I'll be there in a minute. He nodded, picked up his paper, and disappeared down the hallway. The door closed softly, but the truth stayed wide open. I left because I was pregnant, I said quietly. My voice didn't shake, even though my heart did. That night. The night you told me you needed someone who wouldn't slow you down. He collapsed into the chair like his strength had vanished. His hands covered his face. All these years, he whispered. I built companies. I chased success. And I missed this. Tears slid through his fingers. I watched him, feeling no anger, just a calm sadness. I didn't want to beg, I continued. I didn't want to explain my worth to someone who had already decided I didn't belong in his world, and I didn't want my child to ever feel unwanted. He looked up at me, eyes full of regret. You should have told me. I would have stayed. I shook my head slowly. You already told me who you were. I listened. Silence filled the room. Heavy. Honest. After a moment, he stood up and took a step toward the hallway. Let me see him again, he said. Let me be part of his life. I can fix this. I took a deep breath. This was the moment I had prepared for, even if I never planned it. You don't fix 7 years with promises, I said gently. And you don't step into a child's life when it finally feels safe. He stopped. His shoulders dropped. You chose the Gala, I continued. The image. The woman who fit your world. You chose that twice, once back then, and again now. His eyes filled again, but this time, he said nothing. He understood. This was not punishment. This was consequence. He walked to the door slowly, like each step carried weight. Before leaving, he turned back once. I loved you, he said quietly. I know, I replied. But love without choice is just a memory. The door closed behind him. From the hallway, my son's laughter floated into the room, soft, bright, alive. I closed my eyes and smiled. For the first time in 7 years, the past no longer had power over me.